Hey girl, my name is Anel. Welcome to the Brave in Her podcast, where we inspire, empower, and motivate by sharing our stories of bravery. I strongly believe that by sharing our stories, we open ourselves to healing, but also serve to give hope and inspiration to those who are dealing with a tough situation. We will talk about all topics under the sun. Now let's hear your stories of bravery. Hey girl, thank you for being here for this episode. In today's episode, I have a really good friend from many years. Her name is Natalia Llovera. She is a wife, a mom, an excellent cook, and she is a Lupus warrior. And she's here today to talk to us about, just share a little bit more of her journey with lupus. And so I'll have her introduce herself. Hi, Natalia. How are you?
Good, Anil. How are you?
I'm good. I know you're a little nervous, but you do fine.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so my name is Natalia. As she said, I am Colombian and Cuban. Everybody knows the Colombian part, but I don't really talk about the Cuban part. But yes, I'm half Cuban. I am a mom of 3, 2 girls and 1 boy. So I have quite the mixture because my husband's Mexican. So we have Colombian, Cuban, and Mexican.
Wow.
Yeah. I love to cook. I love to DIY. I love to decorate. That's kind of how I relieve all the stuff that I have going on.
Yeah, I always love how you decorate your house. And for every single season or holiday, you have a different decoration.
Yeah, I get very inspired to, especially fall and Christmas. I'm ready to get on. I have everything smells like fall, but it doesn't look like fall yet.
I can see your fall stuff right back there.
Yeah.
And then you also recently just started like a channel, I think, like a TikTok on your cooking.
TikTok. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I do
everything's so yummy.
I love to cook. That's like my biggest stress relief, anxiety relief. Just you tell me I'm craving this and I get so excited and I just walk into that kitchen and I love chopping things and I just love doing all that. So that's a big thing for me. So I've been wanting to launch like a YouTube channel, but I'm still a little too nervous for that. So I started with the TikTok, just editing. I don't have to use my voice that much.
You should do it. Do it. Because your cooking looks so yummy. And, I know your mom's cooking. And if you learn from your mom, I'm pretty sure your cooking is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I follow a lot of her recipes.
So let's talk about your journey with lupus. So can you tell us what were the symptoms that you were experiencing that led your doctors to, do the testing and finally diagnose you with lupus?
Okay, so it started, I had lupus for a long time and I didn't know. It was until I went to the doctor that I was already like falling apart, that the doctor was like, whoa, like, how are you standing right now? When I was pregnant, I had a lot of illnesses. Like my last pregnancy was bad. It was very, very bad. I had heart issues, skin issues. I just had gastrointestinal issues. I couldn't keep any food down, no vitamins, nothing. So that was my pregnancy. And then after that, the postpartum, I got really bad postpartum depression. And then I was breastfeeding. So I was like, I'm not going to be selfish. I'm not going to think of me. I'm not going to go to the doctor and try to see what's going on with me. I'm going to think of the baby, So I breastfed for a whole year. And then after I stopped breastfeeding, I was like, okay, it's time, it's time to start taking care of myself. So when I stopped breastfeeding my son, I started losing a lot of hair. I started losing a lot of weight. And I think I'm like, okay, I should have lost the weight when I was breastfeeding him, but I started losing it after. So I'm like, wow. And that just triggered more depression because I just felt guilty for not breastfeeding him, even though he was a year already. I still felt guilty for not breastfeeding. So that just added to like my anxiety and my depression. And I started losing a lot of weight. Like my hair was falling out really bad. So I'm like, it's the fibromyalgia, it's the stress, because I have fibromyalgia. I've had it for 12 years already. So that's something that I always blame everything on the fibromyalgia. I'm like, oh no, it's just probably getting worse. So that's what I was just blaming it on. After I stopped breastfeeding, I was like, it's the hormones, it's this, it's that. But no. Then my face just started blistering. Like, we would go to Disneyland a lot. So I wouldn't wear sunblock. My face would blister. Like, it would blister, like would bleed. And it was super bad. And I always looked like I had really bad acne, but it wasn't acne. And I just thought it was acne. But I didn't know until later on that it was the lupus, the sun was just eating me up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I was shaking. I started losing my appetite. And I love to eat. Not only do I love to cook, but I love to eat. And I love all foods. And food just turned me off. I just didn't like food anymore. So then 2020 comes around and it's a pandemic. The pandemic is starting. Things are getting really bad. So in March, my husband gets furloughed and he's home. And I just start getting worse and worse. My appetite just starts decreasing even more. Like, I can barely get water in. Barely get a few drops of water in me just to take my vitamins, just to try to be strong. Like, I would force coffee in me, but food was just not going in at all.
Wow.
I was getting night sweats. I would soak my bed for all last year. I literally soaked my bed. I would get up at 3 a.m. to shower, to change my clothes, to like put towels over the sheets so I can lay and, so I can soak up. It was really bad night sweats. Like, I would soak everything that I was wearing. So at that point I was like, okay, we need to go see what's going on. And then my husband was just like, okay, it's time. You breastfed the baby. You did everything you were supposed to do. You need to go take care of you, because if you're not okay, we're not okay.
Yeah.
So I called my GP. I explained everything that was going on, and they were like, this is a rheumatology problem. You need to go straight to a rheumatologist, like emergency. So I'm still thinking, whatever, it's probably because my fibromyalgia is just really bad. So they don't have openings, but because of my symptoms, they bring me in as like the following week. It was fast. Everything was just so fast. So as soon as the rheumatologist, like, he sees all my lab work from my GP and he sees everything that was done, he starts looking body exams, and I had lost a lot of weight. So I thought I had some bulges like under my rib cage. And I thought that was just fat that was left over from the amount of weight that I had lost. But it was actually my organs were that swollen that you can see them through under my rib cage. They were just like bulging out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's scary.
So he was like, yeah. So he was just telling, he was like, how are you standing? How are you here? Like, and I was just, I don't know. I think I was just on survival mode at that point. I was just like, I'm gonna be okay. I can do this. Like, it's okay. It's just my I put it in my head that my fibromyalgia was just that bad. So then when he starts explaining to me, like, this is lupus. He's like, your blood work is showing your liver, your kidneys, everything is, you're just not okay. Your body is shutting down and you're waiting until you're shutting down to come to the doctor, at this point. And then I put my mask down and he's like, and then you have the butterfly rash, because I had to show it to him. So I put my mask down and he sees, like, I didn't have makeup on. So he sees the whole, like the whole butterfly, just like, it's literally a butterfly, and it's sometimes red, sometimes it's purple, sometimes it's even burgundy. Mine is very, like, if I'm not wearing makeup, like, it's very pronounced. And it was blistered at that time. So he was like, you're not wearing sunblock. So it's just eating you. So anytime you're not wearing sunblock, it's going to look like acne, but your body's just blistering. So I notice it on my arms too. Like, if I don't wear sunblock, it starts blistering.
Wow.
So that first appointment, he knew I had lupus. That first initial appointment, he was just like, you have lupus, just with the blood work from my GP. And he hadn't even done the like lupus blood work.
Like testing, like more specialized testing.
Exactly.
Just by looking at you, he was like,
just by looking at me and seeing my kidney and this. And then afterwards, when he had already told me, I'm going to prescribe you this, you're going to be on on immunosuppressants, like the chemotherapy that's used to treat lymphoma. And I also had very swollen lymph nodes. Like you can see them, like you could see them all here. Like they're still kind of, you can still see my lymph nodes. Like they get very swollen when I'm in a flare. So, but they were so swollen when I got to him that he said, that doesn't sound like lupus lymph nodes because they're just so swollen. So from that moment, he was like, this can also be lymphoma added to your lupus. He was like, do you have a history of lupus and lymphoma in your family? And I'm like, yes, my aunt passed away from lupus 3 years ago. And I had a cousin that passed away from lymphoma. So it's just, to me, like that was just doomsday. Like they're just giving me all this information. And I'm like, all this does run in my family, and I'm feeling all these things. And, this is more than just, I'm thinking my fibromyalgia is really bad, but also they're telling me, no, you have this, but you can also have this. So they were just adding so much to my plate. So I left from there and I had, I was on prednisone, which is the steroids that you know very well about.
Yeah.
I was on Plaquenil, which is used to treat COVID, which is it's the main drug to treat lupus, which is hydroxychloroquine. But the other name for it is Plaquenil. And then he put me on methotrexate, which is the chemo pill, basically, that's used to treat lymphoma. So he put me on all those right off the first appointment, and then he sent me to get blood work. So he wanted to find out what type of lupus I had, because at that point it was just, he knew it was lupus, he just didn't know what type it was.
So, so there's different types of lupus, because I thought it was just like lupus, and then that's
you have lupus,
yeah, and then I thought, well, yeah, I knew that there's lupus, right? And then like lupus could affect like different, organs or all organs, or it kind of like diabetes, where like you have diabetes, but it can affect so much in your body, right? So, but I didn't know there's different types of lupus.
Yes. So there's lupus nephritis, which is the lupus that only affects the kidney. There's lupus, discoid lupus, which affects the skin with the sun. And then there's SLE, which affects every major organ, your skin, which is basically all of those in one.
Oh, wow.
And that's the one that when my blood work came back, that's the one I had. So when I went to that second appointment 6 weeks later, he was like, okay, so your 6 weeks, your 6-pill methotrexate, which is the chemo pill that you take 6 pills one day every week, which was every Saturday, I would take my 6 pills. He was like, we're going to increase that to the highest dose, which is 9 pills, because your body needs more. You have SLE, it's attacking all your major organs. It's attacking your lungs, your heart, your kidneys, your liver, your spleen, especially my spleen. I didn't even know what a spleen was before lupus. I had no idea.
What is it?
It's it's one of the ones that's under the rib cage. I'm not sure what it does. I've done research, but I think I just blocked it out. But it's like it's one of the ones under the rib cage, and that one was just like out. It was just out, like you can see it through under my rib cage.
Wow. Yeah. I can't even imagine, like, because I did see your pictures where you got really thin, and I can't even imagine like being that thin and just having your organs show, kind of like when when you're pregnant and you have a baby, and like your baby's kicking, and like, was it like that, like visible, like where
it was visible? Yes, it was visible. Wow. And even my husband would grab it and say, that's leftover fat. Like we thought it was leftover fat under my rib cage. It just looked like extra boobs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I had my regular, and then under my rib cage, I had 2 smaller ones, and it was my liver and my spleen popping out. Oh, it was really swollen. Like I was really swollen. So my body didn't react very well to it. So I ended up in the emergency room because my stomach was just like, what is all this medication? So after that appointment, that next weekend, I was in the hospital. My stomach just couldn't handle it. I was throwing up. I couldn't keep water down. I couldn't keep my pills down. I was just crawling from my bed to the toilet to throw up because I didn't have the strength. Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't, I mean, maybe because it was during COVID, but I'm surprised they didn't, have you in the hospital, at least for your first few doses. just,
Mm-hmm.
so they can kind of monitor you and see how you react and then go from there.
Yeah, no, that was not even an option. When I went to the emergency room and the moment I said I have lupus, they just didn't know what to do with me from there. It was just kind of out of their control. Like once you tell them you have a chronic illness, they're just like, they just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Like once I told them I have lupus, they kind of took a step back. So everything that they were thinking, they just kind of, you need to just follow up with your rheumatologist, and they kind of just sent me on my way.
Wow. For me, it's very similar. As soon as I say I have a kidney transplant, they do give you somewhat of a priority if they're not super busy, especially if you come with a fever and pain, like something that will get you dehydrated. But the same thing, like they will not give you anything unless your doctor prescribes it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like not even Tylenol, not even fluids, nothing.
Nope.
Like
nothing.
They wait until literally your doctor, for me, it's my nephrologist, but as they wait until the doctor tells them something because they don't want to, mess with anything.
Yeah. But they did have to keep me an additional 4 hours because my heart, probably just the thought of being there, my heart acts depending on how I feel. So if I'm under stress, my heart lets me know I'm under stress. So I'm used to it. But obviously, if they see something, your heart is spiking, they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, I feel fine. I was just shaking. So when I was shaking, my heart was like at 180 something. And they were like, whoa. Wow. Yeah, my heart was just out of control. My heart has got to something. And, and I've been fine and I've been able to be fine. So I already know my heart just does that. So I've been through cardiologists. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a crazy story.
Yeah.
So you already told us like how you reacted to to being diagnosed, and they gave you all the medication all at once without, I feel like, without even like testing and see how your body reacts.
Not only that, they didn't even explain it to me. He was just like, I'm putting you on this and this and this. I've been doing this for many years. I know it's going to do well with you, And then when I got home, I started doing research. Then I found out prednisone are steroids. Then I found out Plaquenil is this. Then I found out methotrexate is this. And, I started finding out little things that he just told me all these names, and I was just taking it all in at that appointment. I was just like, okay, yeah, okay. And then I got out of there and I was like, whoa, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in during a pandemic.
Yeah. And it's where kind of like you come out more confused than when you came in. Like,
exactly.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like, did I miss something? Especially when they're giving you all these new medications. Like, I don't understand why they don't like, sit and like explain. Like they just assume like, but you don't.
Exactly. So with the methotrexate, I didn't know it was chemo till I got out of that appointment and I did the research, and I'm like, oh, this is a chemotherapy drug. Because he did tell me this methotrexate, you do need folic acid with it because all your hair will fall out. Your lymph nodes will go down. It's going to help a lot of things, but your hair will fall out. So I'm like, oh my gosh, why is my hair going to fall out? What is this? So then when I did research, I'm like, that's why my hair is going to fall out. Thankfully, I got my mom's strength somehow and my hair didn't fall out because my mom's been through chemo and her hair never fell out. So my hair was strong and it stayed. Yeah. But it did fall out a lot, like by chunks, but I was somehow able to hold on to it.
Well, you have a lot of hair too. So
yeah, that's a good, I was blessed with a whole lot of hair. So it helped, definitely helped.
Yeah. And so, okay. So then, how has this affected you, like being diagnosed with lupus? How has it affected you, as a mom and as a wife? And how have you been able to cope with that diagnosis, but also like, having to take care of yourself and trying to put yourself first because you have to be, well, and you're going through all this, new medication and just, dealing with the side effects and all that. And on top of that, like you still have to be a mom, still have to be a wife. So how has it affected you, and how have you been able to cope with that?
I'm doing better now, definitely. But in the beginning, it was a lot, because I thought that was basically a death sentence. That's how I saw it. Like, I'm not going to come out of this okay. Everyone that's been diagnosed with what I have, the fibromyalgia, the lupus, and the possible lymphoma that they were thinking, like, those people are not here in my family. So that was just it was just too much for me to take in, So I just thought, I'm not going to be here for my kids. How do I prepare them? Yeah. So, but I was just like, no, I'm gonna hold on to my faith. I'm gonna hold on to whatever it is that I have in me, and I'm gonna do my best. But my best was kind of being in my room. Thankfully, my husband was furloughed during that time. So from May that I got diagnosed in May, and he went back to work in July. So I had those 2 months basically to just be, I'm sorry, but a little bit selfish. I had him home, and I had him take care of the load of the home, the cleaning, the kids. I was literally in that room most of the time, just not okay, because I couldn't even drink water. So I had the few drops of water were for my pills to go in so I can survive. But that's literally it. Like, nothing would go in. So it was a lot. It was too much. So I couldn't parent. I literally, I can tell you, my husband was mom and dad for 2 months, and he still had to deal with me. It was a lot. So now that I look back, and I can look back at how much, he went through so much with me. He went through all of it with me. But at that time, I was just on survival mode, and I was just thinking, like, I'm alone. I'm going through this by myself. Yeah. But he had so much on his shoulders. He had the kids, the house. Like, he kept everything. He fed us every day. Like, he figured it out by himself. But I was literally on survival mode. Those 2 months, I was just in the bed, just thinking, like, I'm not going to make it out of this. I would even text you, like, I'm not doing well. I'm not okay. And it was at that moment, that's just what I needed. I needed those 2 months of just me, absorb me. And I still, like, obviously, it's not that I spent those 2 months just in the room. I would come out, I would still, be in their lives. They would go in there, and they would hang out with me. And, I still tried to be as much as I could, but just the first 2 months of my diagnosis, I was not okay. I was not all there. I had a lot of mental breakdowns in between. I started a lot of arguments that were just unnecessary, but that's just, my body didn't know how to react to like 30 milligrams of prednisone just thrown at me at once. I was like raging. And I think you can relate. Definitely know that you can relate to prednisone being just a trigger.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I guess, an evil drug that could also do good.
Yeah.
It has its side effects, but definitely, like, it helps us,
Yeah. It that, I can say that pill and the methotrexate, the chemo, it saved my life. So I only posted the pictures of where, I looked thin, and, I posted that part, but I didn't show the ugliness of it. Like, it was bad. I didn't show the ugly part of it. So everybody just thought, oh, she lost weight. Oh,
Yeah.
But they don't see what happens, like the process of everything. I lost almost 90 pounds.
Wow. That's a lot.
I went down to 104 pounds from being 189.
Wow.
Yeah. And this was all from January. It was from January to December. Like that.
In 1 year.
In 1 year. Yeah. So after, it was a lot.
Wow. So, right now you said about, you only posted like, the losing weight part, but didn't show like exactly what was going on, the bad side. So, can you describe like a good day and a bad day, living with lupus?
Okay. So a good day, I wake up, I make my coffee, I make breakfast for the kids. I wake up before them. That's a good day. A day where I wake up before my kids is a good day. I start my day before them. I have time to just, re-energize myself, make them breakfast, get the house ready for when they wake up. That's a good day. That makes my day go smooth. A bad day is when they wake me up, meaning I've overslept to the point that I'm not feeling well. My body hurts to ways that I can't even describe because no type of medication will help that pain. Like my bones, my joints, everything hurts. So I already wake up with just that dark cloud over my head that I'm just not okay. So that just drains my whole day. So if my day starts that way, it just kind of goes that way because I'm in pain. I'm trying to do more than I can handle just so I still want to be a good mom, even though I have this challenge. I still want to be 100% my best, but I know I can't always give them 100%. And that weighs very heavy on my shoulders.
Yeah. So we were talking about, showing the good days and the bad days because most people, most of us with chronic illness, we show like the good days and we'll share our story here and there, but we don't really show our bad days. So I feel like it's so important for us to me included, to show our bad days because that's what people need to see to understand what we go through.
Exactly.
Because, people see us like, oh, you don't look sick. But we might not look sick because we're so used to it. We try to like hide it, but inside, like we're in pain or, I don't know, we don't feel good. We're super exhausted that day or or like nauseous or, just the different side effects of the medication that we take. So thank you for sharing like, the good and the bad days. And, I want to encourage you to, I know, and I'm talking to myself too, to not be afraid to also show the bad days.
Yeah. For me, it's mostly the fact that I am just so worried about people thinking that me sharing the bad days is just, she wants attention. And that's where I stop. Like when I see that anyone just gets the minor idea that this is for attention, I'm just like, no, I'm going through a lot and I am sharing that because there's people that are still going to get diagnosed with this same thing that I have. And if they can look at someone who's not saying that every day was good and, they got through it and they're rock stars, like you have to show that you do have those weak moments of despair where you just don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
This brought me, I already had anxiety and depression, growing up, but this woke up so many things that I didn't even know I had. So I'm on antidepressants, I'm on anxiety medication, like I'm on so many different medications just to control my mind from overthinking what everyone else is thinking about me, because they are not in my shoes. So it's easy for them to say, she's posting this for attention. She just wants this, but no, I'm sharing my story. And you made me open my eyes to the fact that I'm sharing my story. This is not for attention. I'm just saying what I'm going through and how hard it's been on me and on my family and how much of a toll it's taken on all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's not really, sorry. It's not just it's not just us that are going through the chronic, illness, chronic pain, chronic, all the freaking, symptoms that we go through every day. Some of the symptoms we just, cope and learn how to live with them. Others, there's other days that we just, can't do it anymore. But it's important for us to show what we really go through because I feel like those days when it's a bad day, it's when you feel the most alone.
Exactly.
So sharing those bad days and let's say someone else sees it, that you share the bad day, and they're going through a bad day. They're thinking, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that's going through this.
Yeah. So I did feel alone a lot of the time, even though I had friend support. I had you. You were like, I tell you all the time, you were a big rock for me. Like anytime I had something that I just needed to get off my chest, and I'll go to you and you made it better. I don't know how you do it, but you just made it better, you know? And I was able to vent with you about everything. But aside from that, and aside from another friend, I felt very alone, you know? I did have my husband and he was very helpful, but I didn't want to throw all my load on him because he already had such a big load. You know, he was already worried enough about me. I just felt like me just keep adding to his worry was just going to destroy us as a couple. So I did feel alone a lot of the time. So I joined a lot of Facebook groups that had my problems, and I started seeing their stories, and I'm like, okay, so it's not just me. I'm not crazy. You know, these things do happen. A lot of people go through, I've seen stories that are so much worse than mine. And I'm like, I have no right to feel as bad as I feel mentally, but I do have that right. Now I know I do. Yeah. But I do feel selfish some of the time that I'm like, I'm just thinking of myself, but there's people worse off out there than me. They have worse health issues than me and they're not complaining. But that's just, everyone handles things differently. And the way my anxiety and my depression and it dooms me. It dooms me to think that I'm a burden on my husband. It dooms me to think that I'm not the best mother that I can be to my children. And I want to be, you know? And I feel like those are the little challenges that stop me every day. But the fact that at least I'm saying it, I'm speaking it. I'm not just saying, you know, I'm a good mom and I'm sick, but I'm a good mom. No, I do have my downfalls. I do have my pitfalls. I'm not perfect, you know? And that's what everybody needs to just be okay with expressing. It's okay we can't protect our children from everything, you know? They have to see reality, you know? Their mom is sick. That's my kid's reality. And they've learned to cope with it, and but it's not something that we're hiding, you know? Don't hide what you feel. Don't hide. When I'm having a bad day, I'm like, babies, you know, mommy's having a bad day today, but I speak. That's the thing that I do encourage anyone to do. Speak to your loved ones. So people that are closest to you, that are dealing with you, don't leave them out. Just speak to them. Let them know how you're feeling. Today is not a good day for mommy. Today's not a good day for me. You know, just explain it to them and they'll be more understanding.
Yeah, that's a really good advice because, you know, I've even had that issue where, like, you know, those days where you just wake up and like you're just already frustrated with everything because your body is like not functioning and like you want to accomplish all this, but like your body's not cooperating. So, you know, I have those days where like I just wake up and I'm already super frustrated. So instead of expressing myself, like, you know, letting, you know, my husband and my stepdaughter know, like, okay, today I'm not having a good day. I just take it on them, right? Because I'm just not, you know, I'm just frustrated, but sometimes also too, like we don't realize we have that frustration until like, you know, we lash out or something. And then we're like, oh, well, why did I just do that? Like what happened, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, thank you. It's so important to share our stories. And then, so do you have a word, Bible verse, song, or quote that helps you, you know, in those days that you wake up and you just feel like giving up?
Yes, I do. So I have one ready. So it says, live for what today has to offer, not for what yesterday took away. So that one, it just, you know, yesterday took so much from me, but I'm not going to let today take me back there. So I'm just moving forward with my life. That's basically how I see that one. And then the other one is, the way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you've got to put up with the rain.
Oh, I love that one.
So the way I see it is, I'm kind of in the rain right now, and the rain is getting slower. It's not as hard, but yet last year was just, you know, pouring rain. So I feel like I'm getting closer to my rainbow, and that helps me get through my days.
Yeah. And you sound a lot better. You look a lot better too.
Thank you. You saw, yeah, you heard my
Yeah.
negative. Yeah, you saw, I had a lot of negative moments that I was not there.
Yeah.
That's why we've been planning to do this for a while, but I just did not feel like I was mentally ready for it. I wasn't. I was probably going to not be very positive during it. And I was just, I took a step back and I was like, I'm probably not ready. So I wanted to wait till I was mentally like, okay, I can do this. I can get through this. I can explain that it's okay to feel. Everything that you want to feel is okay, because no one feels no one is in your body. No one knows the pain that you go through every day. No one understands how hard it is, but you understand. So share your story.
Yeah.
And you taught me that. Before you, I felt like if I shared my story, I wasn't going to be seen as strong. I was going to be seen as weak. Like, why are you putting yourself out there? Why are you putting your business out there? That's how a lot of people see it. Like, you're putting your business out there. But from your story, from the podcast you've done in the past that I've listened to all of them and their stories, they're so brave and wonderful. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to share that with the world?
Yeah. To encourage other people and inspire other people. Because I mean, we've gone through it, and like not everyone has gone through something, and it's maybe like, that person may be going through something right now. And, especially something as hard as like your health, there's so many people who are really blessed that never have to deal with a chronic illness. And then all of a sudden, like now they have to deal with a chronic illness, and it's really hard. It's really hard. Exactly. So, that's why, I was just inspired to share different stories, not just people with chronic illness, but there's so many stories that need to be shared to inspire others, because I feel like that's what we need. We just need inspiration. We need that realness, people sharing their true stories, their true struggles to help other people go through a similar situation.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for sharing your story. And lastly, where can we continue following your journey?
So I did start my TikTok, which is Nati's Beautiful Disaster. And then I do have an Instagram account, which is also Nati's Beautiful Disaster. And I do share my recipes. I'm starting little by little to share a little bit about my journey. I did share one on TikTok, but I haven't yet felt brave enough to share it on my Instagram, because it's kind of like a video of my whole last year, and it just shows the weight, like how I was losing weight. It shows like my face blistering. Like I put that all out there, and I put it on TikTok, but I'm willing to share it on my Instagram as well. But it's raw footage. It's pretty, I'm putting myself very vulnerable out there, but it might help someone. You never know. It might give someone that little light that they need when they get this harsh diagnosis, because it's not fun, especially when it went from, they thought it was cancer, of how bad my lupus has gotten at that point. I went through CT scans. I went through all kinds of scans. Thankfully, everything was fine. It was just that my lymph nodes were reacting really bad to how bad my lupus was.
Oh,
yeah. So the medication was able to help.
Yeah. So I just want to say that, sharing your story, like, yes, helps inspire others. But I found that, since I started sharing my story, it has also helped me heal. And then, it feels so good when someone reaches out and says, thank you for sharing your story. I feel encouraged, or I feel inspired, or I just hope that one day, like in my case, I have a kidney transplant for almost 25 years, and many people, message me saying like, I wish that, I not wish, but like, I hope that one day I do get a kidney transplant, and I hope one day, my transplant also lasts that long. So, again, thank you so much for sharing your story, and I want to encourage you to share the bad days too. Let's make it that a challenge.
Yes. Okay.
Like hashtag sharing bad days or something.
Yes. Oh, let's do this. I'm down.
Cool.
And I want to thank you publicly for being my rock. You were my rock. You got me through a lot. Well, and I'm very thankful to have you in my life.
Oh, thank you. Me too. I'm so thankful that, we've known each other since we were little, but, we disconnected and got connected again. And, I'm grateful that I've been here for you, and not, I wish, it wasn't in these circumstances, but I'm grateful that, I came back to your life and you came back into my life just when you needed somebody.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I'll see you later.
See you later. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode inspired you. If you like this podcast, please share on social media and tag me on Instagram @TheBraveandHer. I would love to hear your stories of bravery.